Welcome back, everyone. We made it to the second episode. Oh my God, I'm so excited. This is like the highlight of my week. I mean, I was looking forward to this.
Oh, wow.
Well, yeah.
I appreciate it.
That shows that I'm not like doing too much. You know what? No, you know what it is? I'm not doing enough things that feed me, you know what I mean, during the week.
Yeah.
So this feeds me, you know. I'm working for others during the week, and now I'm working for myself, working for ourselves here, and this is feeding me. So that's why I'm looking forward to this. So welcome back to the formerly known podcast name was we're formerly known as the Balance of Power, but we're still mulling over the name. I think we want to go with a different direction, right?
Yeah.
We're still we think it's not, that's just we're like right there. We don't know what it is yet. We're not going to announce it yet, but hopefully in the next couple of episodes we'll have a new name. So just right now, we're on episode 2. So
Yeah, we're getting there.
Yeah.
In the construction phases right now. We got everything built up, though. We got something for you guys coming soon.
Oh yeah. We're gonna have some guests. We were just talking about some guests that we're gonna have here, so we're really excited. It's gonna be really, really cool. We're really looking forward to the next couple months with this podcast. Right.
Definitely.
All right. So, how are you guys? How was your week?
It was a good week. You know, it's the work week, so you get in the morning grind and you go through the routines, kind of like Groundhog's Day sometimes, like repeat. And, you know, here we go. But I got a good job with good peoples, you know, good company. I can't complain. I just, you know, this is like mentioned earlier, this feeds you throughout the week. You know what I mean? It's something that you like to do. That's something that you look forward to because it's what your essence is in a way, you know? And, you know, when you go to 9 to 5, you're not working for yourself. You're working for someone else. So it's hard to find your essence when you're doing that.
That's right. Yeah. What are you, Max?
It was stressful. Overwhelming. A lot of adulting and single momming. But I got through it. You know, and
wait, was it end of month for you? No, it wasn't. No, you're like end of month for you is like the hardest.
No, I don't do financial.
Oh, you don't?
Statements.
Okay.
No,
So you don't have to, because like I know every accountant that I know, like the end of the month, they are like, it's for them. It really is Groundhog's Day.
A lot of people think because you're CPA, you're doing like taxes and like financial statements.
You're not even.
No. I'm an auditor and I audit traders.
Oh. See, that could be interesting in itself.
It's very
That's
interesting.
so dope.
Yeah.
Wow.
my God.
Man, I don't even want to talk about my job.
And she looks like, and she has like a baby face, by the way. She looks like, you know, soon we'll have a camera person, so you'll see us, but she looks like she could be 16 years old.
Yeah. I don't age.
She doesn't age, okay? And she has
where's
two
Joe Biden?
beautiful
Look
kids. You know what? He's starting already. Okay.
Oh, man, okay, I'm done.
So I guess he wants to get into the topics. All right, Chris wants to get into the topics. So, well, you know, this week we, last Sunday we lost someone in the hip hop community, and you know this is a political podcast, so we like to stick to our political topics. But we just couldn't help but mention this person, Nipsey Hussle. He's from California, Los Angeles, and I got the pleasure of meeting Nipsey Hussle when he first came to New York, like literally like the first time he was in New York, because I was like interning for his manager at the time, and he was so nice. Like I remember he followed me on Twitter, and he was like just a cool guy. I mean, he was so different from me because he was like so LA. It was like I just was like, whoa. It was like culture. Like it was, back in the day we didn't have like internet. You know what I mean? Like the way we have it now. It was just like MySpace and like maybe Twitter. I think it was. Well, obviously because he followed me. So, but it wasn't. It was just like one of those things that I was just like, yo, he's like really like. He's really into that culture, like, you know what I mean? Like, it's just totally like, one thing about him I remember is him being so warm, and just being really, really stand up, genuine guy. So to hear that we lost him due to like gun vielse.
Black on black crime.
Well, I try not to.
Use that term.
Yeah, because there's white on white. We know the term is used to kind of create just basic. I really feel like that term was used to kind of make us feel like we're the only ones that have crimes, right? That do crimes against each other. Basically, we do understand that black on black crime is just a term that they created to.
It's just
characterize
crime.
us.
It's crime.
You're going to naturally have crime that involves people of the same race because that's who they live near and they're around.
Yeah, but when it's happening at high numbers to the point where it's kind of like it's a little out of control. You got to say something's going on here. I grew up near Baltimore.
I'm going to tell you what's going on here, and he even said he forecasted. If you I watched so many of his interviews, I was just like, I was so fascinated by him because he was so deep and intelligent, really understood, and yes, he had a past being in the gang culture of LA, and one of the things that he mentioned was that, just being in that world when he was back in the gang world. There's one interview he said he would, when he was out for like a hunt, like when they have to I don't know if they're robbing someone. I don't know what he was basically with drugs. I don't know what it was. But
he didn't go into details, I'm sure.
Yeah, he didn't go into details. But when you're on a hunt, that's what he said. When you're on a hunt, you basically have to, look for someone, like the mark, right? Mm-hmm. And he would drive down. He looked. He saw. Maybe it was someone from another race. He passed that person. He saw maybe a square. That's not cool like him. He passed that person. But he saw someone that looked like him. And again, he went against his imaginary hood line. He called it he went across it because it's imaginary. It's just the neighborhood, you know what I mean? Right. But they separated through zones, their own, the territories that they kind of you can't cross this, I can't cross that. And he went past it and he found that person. Basically, he found him, is what he's saying. He found someone that looked just like him.
Wow.
And that's who he got. That's the person.
That's interesting.
So what does that mean? That's so, I thought that was so fascinating. We look for ourselves, we're looking, to attack.
I think do
we hate ourselves?
Maybe not necessarily hate. Maybe yourself also. So if you know who your victim is, who knows them better than if he's you. Mm-hmm. So if you're trying to get over on somebody, or their weaknesses because it's you. Mm-hmm. So maybe it's that kind of angle. Maybe I'm not saying that I've never done that myself. So,
right.
So I don't know the details, but it's interesting that he kind of said that because you would assume, he's going for the square or somebody from other races.
Yeah, but no, we went after who you go after is someone that looks just like you. But then because your term you use, right? I don't even like that term, so I'm not getting the black on black crime.
That's fine. That's fine.
But that's what they see, right? It's people in their own, that's who they go after because that, like you said, maybe it's someone, you literally just explained it, right? Did you just not explain it?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
I mean,
but there is still a geographical relevance.
Absolutely.
I mean, if everyone around you is black and you're committing a crime, you're probably going to commit it on someone who's black.
I'm
just saying, you know what I'm saying? Just like if we looked at Hispanic on Hispanic or white on white, it's probably geographically relevant.
That's
you're not gonna go into you're not gonna cross over and let me go drive 40 minutes to a white neighborhood to commit the crime. So we're still geographically very racially dispersed.
And why
that
is that?
Still. Well, I mean, let's talk about that. Let's talk about that, but let's not be there's just black on that's
the reason it's a rough term, but it's a term that gets people's ears. Whoa.
I think the question should be why are there more black and brown people committing crimes relative to the population per capita than white people.
Survival.
If that's what you want to talk about, then we can talk about that, and we need to talk about why are these black and brown people in the positions in which they're choosing to commit crimes. But the black on black, to me, is irrelevant. It should be the rate, because you have I think 12% or 13% of the population of America is black, but yet what percentage of the population are committing crimes?
And
what is it, 70-80% black or something ridiculous? It's so much higher. We need to have that conversation, not
I agree
who they're committing crimes against.
I agree, and that's why I always go back to politics with me, because it's I think it's based on politics, why it's set up that way, why we're designed what we are. You think FDR had a lot to do with that, and that's why I always I bring up black and black crime. It gets people's ready to let's talk, let's debate, then I point them towards look how we're set up. And why are we set up that way? Then why are we voting for those people that set it up this way? That's why I kind of.
Well, I mean, I originally brought up Nipsey Hussle because I really wanted to know what you guys think his legacy is. I really want to know because he wasn't only the former gang member. He's not only a rapper. He was an entrepreneur. He was a philanthropist. He was an activist. and I believe he is he makes sense for this podcast because of all the political ties that he had and the things that he was enacting in the community.
Yeah, I was. I'm not gonna be honest with you. I didn't know a whole lot about Nipsey Hussle. Not, because I grew up in the Wu-Tang, Nas, Jay-Z, Biggie era of hip hop. So when hip hop to me just start going to me downhill, I just, instead of being a hater, I just got hands off a little bit. And Nipsey was in that era a little bit, and I think I might have should have looked a little more into him and checked him out more. And but I did a little research after he passed, and I kind of liked what his message was. I did, of course, like the song FDT, F Donald Trump. I ain't gonna be bumping that in the car, but no, it's definitely I think he's an interesting character in rap for sure, and I think his legacy. I think when it's all said and done, he's going to be. I see the young people already doing it. They're kind of giving like I call it the Tupac treatment, where when a rapper passes, they don't just let him pass and move on. It's they're making people know, like, no, this guy needs to be talked about. So that's what got my attention with him. So
same. I think a lot of people are frustrated with this whole like bandwagon thing that's happening with Nipsey. Like, I guess I would say I'm one of them.
Okay.
Because you have a lot of people like, oh, now you want to love him, now you want to listen to his music, and unfortunately, a lot of us just didn't know about him. And that's what happened.
I heard the name.
That's what happened to me. I could associate his face and his name because he's on like the Shade Room or the blogs. I didn't even know he was with Lauren London or had a baby. I didn't know anything about this man, but I am listening to his music nonstop since he's passed.
Oh wow!
It is so good. On the way here, I was bumping all of his songs. I absolutely love them. Wow. And when I dig deeper into him and I hear about all the things he did, and he even reached out just outside of just the Black community. He was advocating, for the Latino community. There were so many other things that he's doing, but it also made me think, to me, I know you want to talk about legacy, but it also made me think about a struggle that I think a lot of Black and brown people have when they try to kind of like move on up. And you have this thing where
let's get into that.
This happened to me. A lot of us, you try to move on up, and you have your friends or your associates or whatever who are still not where you are,
not ready to move on up,
and trying to coexist in this. I've now elevated myself financially or like whatever my status, but you have this ties and you want to kind of still. And I feel like that is such a struggle because if you don't, then you left us, you turned our backs on us, And then if you do, you're stuck with a lot of the negative aspects of either maybe financially needing to support people or being tied up into violence. And it made me think about that dynamic
especially rapper, you know what I mean? Because that's like your rap is based on keeping it real. Like you can't be living in the burbs and like talk about you still hood. You know what I mean? Like no, you're not.
Well, but that's the misconception, right? So every single successful rapper does not live in the community that he or she grew up in. They cannot, like they literally cannot live in their community anymore. Like Marcy Projects is forever known as the Jay-Z's birthplace, right? And where he grew up, but he will never be able to like live in that area, even though Bed-Stuy and all that area is really nice. He just could never live there, right? You just can't.
No, I mean,
because you're famous.
You're famous.
Yeah. That's like isn't that like country music? That's anybody though. I would think.
Even just living, like going back and engaging and being a part of the community and acting like I'm still one of you guys. I can just walk around.
Can't do that.
And that's
50 Cent used to do that. 50 does that randomly. Like I remember. There was like a Thanksgiving drive that he had invited us to, my client and I, and it was like in the hood, and I was like, oh my god, like I was like, 50's gonna be there? He's like, yeah, he sends stuff there, and he's like, you guys should go, whatever. But he'll drive by and he'll go into the area, but he's not like living there. He's not, because unfortunately, the problem with, I hate to say it, well, it's all about survival here, right? It's all about survival. I think everything that we're talking about kind of goes back into Black people are trying to survive in their areas, right? And you made it out, so now we're all still trying to survive. We see you, and we're like trying to cling on to you, right?
Yeah,
and you can't. It's like,
that's why it's honestly, if I had to say, Nipsey made, like, I don't want to. God bless the dead before I say anything, but if I say one small thing he went wrong, it's like, what was he doing there? Like, I know he had a business, and like, well, he had a business, he was standing out front, but he had no bodyguards, no protection, he was just standing out front. Why were that many dudes allowed to be around him?
He was so respected. He was very, very respected.
Some people can't make that transition though.
No, I mean he has. I mean, look, he's with a Hollywood. He's in the Hollywood world. Like he's with Laura London. Trust me, he's out of that. He's no longer in that.
No, I don't think he's in the game. But I was just thinking the area, like
right. But his business was there. He did what everybody's supposed to do, right?
He did the right thing. Technically, the storybook image of the right thing. He could have
created a shop in Beverly Hills.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Definitely.
He could have and people would come or oh shoot! Now I can't remember the part of in California that everybody goes shopping. I can't remember. I always.
Well, I just thought about something. You bring that up. Like,
no, it's more of like their streetwear. You guys comment and let us.
Oh,
let me know.
yeah.
Can I chime in on your comment real quick? Just Ty here real quick.
Ty, go ahead.
So, a few of my other podcasts were talking about that, like why was he there, and like you don't have to be in your community to support your community.
Yes.
You can support it from a distance. But I feel just like we talked about last week with like transparency, I think like for Nipsey, he was such a hands-on person that this was his personal project. This was like something that he wanted to do. And a lot of times when you try to assign somebody else to do your project, especially in the beginning, like in that, like building it from the ground up, sometimes people don't have the same exact passion as you, and a lot of people are doing it just for how much you're paying them. They're not doing it with the love of it. So I feel as if I agree with that. He should have probably had some type of bodyguard, but then that also shows like, okay, well, it's not to say it's not safe, but I feel like Nipsey, like I said, Nipsey was such a hands-on person that he probably wanted to, do the grassroots movement and just kind of be involved in it until things probably was a little bit flourish. He's giving people jobs and trying to, do something for the community. So but then again, another thing, a side note, is that when you are in gang culture and you are associated with individuals of that nature, just because you decide to, I'm putting air quotes in the air, back out now and change your ways, it doesn't mean that you're not still affected by your past. It doesn't mean that, you can't just run
haters
away.
Don't disappear.
You can't just run away. And then just how he died, I mean, you kind of just, you disrespected a person who just got out of jail and you embarrassed him in front of people. And, in the black community, pride is
everything.
Super. It's like the
life.
highest. It's the highest thing. That's why we allow everything on social media to affect us. The smallest thing, everybody's mad. It's like you allow everything to like sway you. You don't know how to balance your emotions. You don't know how to balance your temper or whatever case may be. So in my opinion, if he had pulled homie to the side and talked to him instead of talking to him in front of his friends and airing him out like that, he probably would have still been here today. But you can't be acting like a gang member with your approach to solving an issue and then want a civil response. It's not going to happen like that. You need to be you need to say, hey, look, let me talk to you real quick. And then, address him.
I must have missed this. Are we saying we know the reason he was killed?
Yes,
I'm letting Ty talk right now because I said I don't know any of this.
Okay, so the reason,
it's
it's not complete, but allegedly, like the guy who shot him was locked up, and for whatever he was locked up about, he was released early. So when he came over to the area where Nipsey was shot, he came over there and Nipsey said to him like, nah, you can't get up. You like, wait, you out now? Like you must have snitched. You must have said something. And the guys around.
Okay, the whole calling him a
But
snitch.
what about the tweet beforehand? It seemed like he knew he was getting threats, and they said he had an event or some kind of movie or some kind of something, and then he wanted all this security because he was worried someone was going to kill him, and that was like days before.
Well,
there's just too much out there right now.
This one part of it is that the guy got out. He apparently, Nipsey said, "Hey man, you must have snitched. You must have done something to get out early. Go show us. Come back and show us your release forms." And I guess at that point, the dude was like, must have been embarrassed in pride and felt like, you're not going to sit here and disrespect me. And you think you high and mighty. I'm pride comes in and speaks and says, I'm going to show you who High and Mighty is. So that's kind of why that's why when you see all the pictures of the guy standing behind him and all the photos, they're like, yo, it's the person that's closest to you that's really hating on you, you know. So it's you know, I'm not sure all the details, but I know that the person who actually did the shooting, and he did get released out of jail early, so they're trying to figure, like, that's why everybody was like, you can't come around, for what you got put away for, you should be definitely away 2-3 more years, 4 more years, however more long, but you're out on the streets now. So then that's why I got a little.
So that brings it back to that topic of like what you're saying. Why create that business in that area? Because like I said, I remember the area that everybody have their clothing shops, their streetwear shops. It's Fairfax, and everybody has like a dope like sneaker shop or clothing store. Why didn't he go and open up his store in Fairfax and keep it safe, have kids come out, fans, he could do his cool meet and greets and just keep it out of the hood. You know, that's the question that we can toy with and say, you know, he's a stand-up guy for wanting to bring people to Slauson and Crenshaw. He's a stand-up guy. Because most people said, you know, back in the 80s and 90s, they said that area was like no man's land. It was like that's like the mecca of like between the gang, like everything, all the gang activity. That's like where they thrive. Like that's where they meet and stuff. He even said that like this is what Nipsey was saying, that in one of the restaurants that they used to frequent at, like the restaurant owner would take off the seats so that people couldn't sit down, and people couldn't like kind of like sit down, eat their food there. They had to like buy their food and get out. You know what I mean? Wow. I mean, that's how bad it was. And when you think about that, and he said, and he was like, this is what his words were: "How dare you? How dare you do that?" You know? And then now he became he bought the actual like the strip mall that they're all on, and now that person that was doing that now pays him rent, which was really, really, you know, that stuff like that kind of makes you feel good. So then you say, well, that's the reason why he went back to the hood, because he wanted to do those, you know, because that's so important. How many times do we talk about how we've got a lot of, you know, African Americans have we frequent a lot of, you know, other people businesses, and we don't freaking our own, you know. Nope. And you know, he was trying to show by example, this is how you do it, and then you know, look what happens.
And so what's the lesson being learned here for the rest of us now that he's gone? So
well, I think it's a larger lesson. I don't think it's I think we can't think about it in a micro.
I'm not saying that's the only lesson from the top. Like you got to look at what he's done and what he stood for. All of that has to be in account.
No, I get what you're saying, but I would see, because like what people can hear when you say that, they can say, don't do that. When you get rich, you better go to Fairfax or you better go to Beverly Hills and open up your shops, because if you try to, you know, bring it to Long Beach or Compton, then you could be next. You know what I mean? And that's not really what it is. What it is obviously he didn't have security. Obviously, the person he knew, you know what I mean? So there was a familiarity there. They got into it. Like, my thing is just with this guns thing. That's my whole thing. It's like, and this is why I believe that people don't need guns, because if your first inclination, you're upset, is to kill, is to shoot and kill, then you don't need to carry a gun.
And this is where you could have stabbed him. Like,
fight him. Why can't you punch him in the face?
But that's what I think. I think, like, you look at New York back in the 80s and 70s, they were on more on that tip than in the gun tip, and that's I mean, people were dropping dead. Because
we all have this thing. We're overly like promoted with guns and violence, and that's really, at the end of the day, you know what the takeaway here is? We need to stop violence. We need to stop supporting violent movies. We need to stop supporting violent music. We really, for it's detrimental to the black community. It really is.
I agree to an extent, not with so much, because you know my amendment rights. You know, don't want to touch my amendment rights. But I think we should have guns. But I do think the gun culture is a problem. in a way. Because, I mean, I hear trap music. The reason I listen to rap music is because of trap music, I'm going to be honest with you. I will hear trap, and from the flow wasn't good, and they weren't having vocabulary wasn't that vast. And then all they were saying, yo, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that while I'm drinking lean. And it's just negative.
Yeah, but it's not only just not only for the rap music. The gun culture is also on the other side as well.
It's like movies. Everywhere you look is gun culture.
No, but I if I go on Instagram and I look up like a certain gun, AK-47 or whatever, I see a bunch of, people from, rednecks carrying big guns and showing, like, it's a culture. It's a gun.
We're America, though. Yeah. We're a gun country. That's what we got to understand. We run up hills on mullets fighting the British.
Yeah, but we didn't have, like, AK-47s and, like, automatic rifles. It was just, like, it was more of a sport. It was more respected. They had duels. Like, it was just a little bit more honor with, that was, like, the last thing. You weren't killing people just because they stepped on my foot. I still think you see that, though, in America, in the South. If you go down South, you see that. You see they have all these guns, nobody's touching their guns down South, but they don't go around shooting each other like they do in Baltimore or Chicago or Oakland.
Well, I think it's because guns became more accessible to people. So that's why
criminals.
And that's why this is one thing I have to say. Overall, if you look at the data, and I know I'm like the data person on this.
She's going to always kill us with the facts.
I'm going to always kill you guys with the facts. So crime in America is sharply down. Overall. It just is. Now, gun crime is up.
Right.
But, like, if you look overall, like, homicides or, like, crime is sharply down in America. So we are a less violent country. Okay. But it doesn't seem like that. It doesn't feel like that because... They
scare us,
because we have the social media, because you can see you can see videos now, you can see
local
pictures
news
of people being, injured. So it just feels like, oh, my God, I'm in this really
accessible
scared...
now.
Right. The gun problem is the crimes by gun, but to me that just means people got smarter about it's so much easier for me to shoot someone to go stab them because I may get hurt when I stab them. It's just so much easier to shoot them.
Oh, it's like a lazy
thing.
So I
think it's not lazy. It's smarter ways of committing crime.
Making sure that you don't get any retaliation.
Right.
That's why you see when you look at the video when he shot Nipsey, he came back a couple times because he had to make sure he did the job because you can't just shoot somebody and then just go back and think you're going to be walking around without any repercussions. So
right. So I think the problem is the crime by guns is going up. So we need to look at that. There's also this new let's kill innocent people thing that didn't happen back then. Back then you shot or harmed someone that you knew and you wanted to harm them because they did something to you. But now we're just killing random people because we're angry. So this to me goes back to like education, it goes back to like economics, it goes back to like mental health, it goes back to so many other things, and I hate doing that because you're making a valid point about the guns, but I feel like I want to address the gun problem, believe me, I really want to, but we can't just address that without the
why they're going to pick it up.
And then we also,
because guns don't kill, it's people with guns that kill. The gun
kills.
I mean, no, a gun sitting on the floor.
Because if I come with a knife and she comes with a gun, guess who's killing first? Though.
No, but I'm just talking about. I'm talking about a gun like a gun on the table ain't killing nobody.
Fine.
We need to make.
But somebody has to pick that gun up and pull that trigger.
I think we have more guns. Does it say we have more guns than? This is the data thing. I swear it says we have more guns than like per capita. I know it's ridiculous.
Any other country?
By far.
Oh, yeah, of course.
We have more gun violence than any other country. We're like number one. Like I mean, Europe, at least we're on the top chart. At least we're number one.
And look at Europe. Their biggest allies are in Europe, and their police officers don't even carry guns.
They don't. London, like they don't even carry guns.
But I'm watching over there what's going on in London with the immigration problem. We're talking about that topic right now, and their police are getting wrecked over there with their no gun having butts. Too. You think they're going to do that to American cops?
Yeah, sorry, I'm thinking this is Washington Post. I don't know, but it says there's more guns in America than people. There's 393 million guns in America.
That doesn't scare you. If that doesn't scare you, I don't know, like that. So to me frightens me because I don't want to carry a gun. I don't want to I don't want to play with one. I don't want to be with one. I just don't want it in my life.
Yeah, some people.
And I hate that.
The gun thing is a problem. We have way too many guns in America. We can't deny that.
I think that it is a problem, but I think it's just the accessibility. Right. It's too easy to obtain.
That's what I was saying.
You got to look at it like, okay, grenades are maybe not as available, but if they were, there'd be more people just rolling bombs and doing certain things. Like how Like, you know, people be doing explosive if there were more.
Exactly.
You know, what was that when that guy did the marathon thing in Boston and he had that bomb thing? Yeah, I know he made that. But if that was something that was more like most
go on
people,
the dark web and get it.
Most people aren't doing the research but if it was just something like, oh, go do this and do that, it just, you know, people, it's accessibility. I think
accessibility is the key.
It's too, like, you can go to Walmart and go buy a gun. Like,
just not up here.
That is crazy to me.
Because New Jersey doesn't play that.
I mean, I look at Chicago, man. Like, I used to, you know, I like to stay on track of what's going on. Even though I listen to hip hop, I still want to see who people are, what they're about, because I still want to have an idea. I don't want to be totally clueless.
Right.
I was watching like DJ Academics back in the day when he was more on YouTube than what he's doing now. And when I would listen to him, he would show clips of these rappers beefing in Chicago. And these kids were ages, I'll say 14 and 19 years old.
Right.
And they would shoot these YouTube videos and they'd be dissing each other. And these guys had kids at AKs, they got machine guns, they got pistols, everybody's just swinging guns around. I'm like, how do these kids, they're kids, some of them are under 18 years old, how did they get guns and it's flashing around and they'd be dissing another rapper, then the rapper make a video dissing them with his crew where they all got guns in the video. Then next thing you know, one of them are dead and then the other one's dead and it's just like bodies dropping. And I'm like, how are these kids getting guns? Like, when I was younger, when I was a kid, like, people that had guns were my friends' dads, and that would show their son or they go hunting with them or something where, you know, that's how the gun, and it was very structured.
Right. Like,
son, do not be playing around with this. Don't ever put your finger on the trigger and talk to me, all these rules. And then I see these kids, they got no rules. They're just getting guns. And if you give a kid a gun, you don't think he's going to possibly shoot somebody with it?
That's true.
I mean,
again, that's
fatherhood is where are the fathers?
But I
where
guess the problem is, historically, whenever you outlaw something, then you just incentivize the illegal activity of that thing.
Chicago has the most gun laws in the country almost, and look
like,
at the
you can
gun
go
crimes.
back. You can go back to like when they made like alcohol illegal. Remember how like
I'm gonna say retribution. I know it's not called. It's
prohibition.
To the R. Prohibition. Yes.
I mean, you saw what happened. You know, and this. So what is
the mobsters?
The solution. I think we need. First of all, we have all these guns out there. So if we increase our laws, it doesn't change what exists already. So how do we take? Like, how do we? I
think they do in a lot of communities, like in Chicago, they do. Like I mentioned this last week, the buyback programs, where I think maybe what you have to do is you have to incentivize people to return their guns. Right? They find a gun in the street, because the thing is, this is the problem, right? So, God forbid, you're walking down the street, you're 9 years old, you see a gun on the street, you're in Chicago, you pick it up, it has 7 different murders on, like 7 different people that were killed on that, and bullets can, because you could trace the bullets or whatever to the gun, and you give it to your older brother doesn't want to give it back to the cops because, like, holy, you know what I mean, like, there's protection now, you know what I mean. Now I can walk to school with my younger brother, so there's another aspect of it that kids now, so it's so messed up, right? It's so complicated because now we have the other side of the fence where it's like some kids are going to school with guns in their backpack because they need protection, because they can't walk a certain they have to walk in the streets. That's another thing. They can't walk on sidewalks. This is in Chicago because it's so dangerous for them, and they need to protect themselves. You know what I mean? Otherwise, they could be the next person that gets, that's on the news, So, again, what I'm saying is they have to incentivize bringing back the guns. They have to do a better job. Like, really hard.
I think they make it hard. Like you say,
but it's not, because you just said it. Like, they're coming from somewhere.
No, I don't. Some people want, like, no guns and, like, outlaw guns. And to me, that doesn't make sense. But I'm saying make it a difficult process to obtain a gun, but not impossible, but you just got to go through this difficult checklist or just whatever. Are you
talking about legal guns? Or are you talking about
legal?
Oh, legal. But then what about the other side? Because like Chicago doesn't suffer from legal guns. People are not. It's not like a.
I think gun crimes should be. Maybe you look at that, or should it be more harsher to somebody who legally has a gun and gets caught with a legal gun?
New York's laws are. Don't you get like 8 years?
In New York, you do.
In New York doesn't play around.
New York doesn't play.
And you see, New York is look at the gun crimes go. It's not as bad as it was in the 80s.
Yeah, we've got to talk about the. We got to look into that.
Yeah,
we got to look into the gun laws.
It's like
Chicago.
It's complicated.
Yeah, it's so complicated. Yeah. But okay. Bring it back to Nipsey, because we're gonna go to the next topic. I just want to say his legacy, to me, I think his legacy is the entrepreneurship, the Black entrepreneurship. I think that was something that we can praise him for, because not only was he doing it for himself, for his own empowerment, but for the empowerment of the community. Like, yes, he had his store. That was great. But he also had like a co-working space that he also created, where people who were entrepreneurs in the community can come to that co-working space, and if they had like a really good idea, he'd invest in them. Wow. So these are all
and the fact that he was independent and was very anti.
Oh my God! In anti-late, like labels. I mean, that's why you don't know him, because of that. Because he didn't have that mass, and that's what he had literally just signed to Atlantic Records, and he was just going to, like, his next project was going to make him, I mean, he was Grammy nominated, you know what I mean? So he was about to be someone that everyone would have known. However, he didn't get there because he was independent. And when you're independent, I work with a lot of independent artists, so I know the struggle is you don't have the mass
marketing
reach.
Yeah.
That's why I haven't heard of him.
One good thing.
I didn't heard his name, but
both of you, you both didn't hear
One good thing I think it's happening this week. Representative Karen Sass from Los Angeles is bringing to the floor all of the things that he's done. And it's going to be put into record.
Yep. Which is awesome
for his legacy.
Wow, that's cool.
So
that's also
good news.
Yeah, that's good. And also I hope like that STEM program that he was investing in, which again, for the community, the kids in the community, he was going to have like a STEM program for,
and whatever else he was planning.
And the documentary, Dr. Sebi.
Oh,
the documentary
okay. I wasn't going to go into that, but if you want to talk about that.
He had planned to speak to LAPD on gang. I really wonder what his perspective was going to be, and
the next day,
what he was thinking about.
And both sides seemed very excited, because when he passed, I mean, there's a lot of guys who came out. LAPD came out, police officers, saying how disappointed they were.
They were shocked. I think the sheriff said he had to look at his name. Oh, it gave me chills. He had to keep looking to see the name, like Nipsey Hussle. He said, no, it's not. He kept seeing, can't be, like, oh my God, I have chills. I literally had chills coming. Because when you think about that, that's really, really, really.
That's the Tupac effect. Like, Tupac had a lot going on before. He was about to do a lot.
I'm going to jump off this topic because I think we could talk about this for forever. I want to get into some other stuff. I think we need to get into now the Black families. I think with everything we're talking about, Chris, you and I had a conversation, and you told me something that struck me. You told me that I think I'll let you go into this, but my question to you is, what happened to the Black family?
I think if you look at the Black family, I mean, it goes all the way back to even before America. If you look at the Moors, way back. I mean, the Black community has always, in history terms, has been very known for being strong, that unity. And if you look at Blacks in America, and from African Americans, I just say just call me Black. I mean, I'm gonna go all the details. But if you look at the American Black history, you gotta look at what happened specifically in America that separates us from anywhere else in the other continent in the world. And if you look at the history of Black America, when we came to this country, in terms of slavery, we were separated off the slave ship. And the way they separated us, the key was to first and foremost get rid of the father. And why is that? Because when if you get rid of the alpha, the father, then you can easily control the rest. You can control, and that's even in tribal warfare. If you take over a tribe, you get rid of the men. Now we can control. Now this is our whole area now. And throughout history, that happened in slavery. And then after slavery happened, the Black family united back. Like even through slavery, we wanted to be together. After slavery was over, we were like, family first. And that's why even through slavery, when we were freed, if we were on this plantation, we went up north. And after slavery is over, a lot of families went up north. And that's where I said we're in Harlem now, New York area. And that is a lot of history of Harlem, is all these Black families coming up here, starting businesses, creating, and becoming, like I said, I believe we had only, like 88% marriage rate at one point in this country. And there were, and now we talk baby mama, baby daddy. And it's like, and it's normal to people. I talk to black people, when they say baby mom, baby daddy, like it's nothing sometimes. Not saying, and sometimes it's not always a negative. Things happen, it's life. People get married, things happen. Certain things happen to certain people, but it's just at a high alarming rate. And it's like, and other cultures look at us like, oh, black folks, baby mama, baby daddy, they don't get married usually. But if you look at the history, we did, and we were strong, we were united, or community was together. And like Black Wall Street, that's how Black Wall Street got created, was our unity at one point. And I just feel there were certain elements that came and got involved in our community that separated us again after slavery. And they did the same exact way by removing the father, but they didn't do it physically. They used different aspects to do that. And I think that's a big reason why we're dealing with so many issues in the black community. I don't look at the issues of the black community and just say, oh, because you're black, that's what black people do. I know the history of black people. And I'm like, there's a reason, I'm just trying to, there's a reason why we're here. And we need to look why we're here, and we need to say, okay, let's step away from this and no longer, and try something new and see what happens. And I know if we come back together again, I think we could be by far like the strongest community in the country real fast.
So when would you say this happened? Like,
I'm going to say, if you look at Franklin D. Roosevelt era, when he kind of stepped.
You mean like after World War II? After
World War II, he kind of like late 60s, early 70s time frame. He kind of, if he made a lot of inner cities in the country, like if you look at Queensbridge, that was kind of a FDR design and a setup. And it was made at a point where it was just trying to say, oh, we're just, trying to get, these people some, use their government money to kind of build homes and it kind of sounded in a way like, oh, okay, and I think maybe in that time frame, maybe it did help out a few people. But what it did to the black community in that time was it got us used to government assistance and government programs. And that, at the end of the day, was hampering more the black people than helping, because when we weren't on those programs, and even if we struggled, we still were together. We were still united, and we still fought through it. And that's why the black community is so strong, in my opinion, because you look at the fight that we have inside of us when we're pushed. And even though times are rough at a certain time, the 50s or 40s in America for blacks, we still were so strong and still united that we fought through it, and we were a strong community. And I think
I think I have to look into this, but I wonder if like I don't know, in the 70s, the war, the drugs in the 80s and the 90s, I wonder if any of this had, because you had a lot of black fathers going to jail. You had a lot, you know what I'm saying? You had a lot of single mom families. And I think, I don't know, I have to look into, but I would assume, because there was this huge, like, crack problem, right? Mm-hmm. And there was this huge, I know,
and that also, that's, I'm just going to, like, the first strike on the black community. The first match.
Okay.
And then, but after that, there was other matches and gassing, put gasoline on it, and watch it burn. So that's where the conspiracy side of me comes in a little bit, too. When you look at the crack era, where did crack come from? If you look where crack came from, areas in Colombia and the Congo that had very good coke, and it got over to the United States somehow, the government.
Somehow.
Because I said government, and that's how I got over here.
CIA was part of that.
The CIA is part of that. Bill Clinton, Hillary, Arkansas.
They weren't even
in Arkansas government. They were governors of Arkansas.
Oh gosh.
I'm a conspiracy theorist out there. Please do. His brother Bill was caught with coke. Matter of fact, Bill. But
that doesn't mean he was a drug addict. He died of alcoholism. Right? Didn't he die of alcoholism?
Yeah, his brother. Yeah, over time. But when he was younger, he was caught on videos dealing with selling coke and stuff like that. They had him doing some kind of
come on, and
deals like, going on with those two. They got cameras, video footage of them.
How have you personally benefited
they got in trouble with that
from Trump?
And they had people with jets stopping. I'm looking at the tax cut. I got about $85. I get paid every week. I got $85 after taxes. One helping a week in my check. I thought I got a raise.
But did you get a higher or lower return or pay more taxes?
I got no problem.
With respect to
this is
most people are
family.
Yeah,
but I'm coming from a single mom's perspective. I didn't get jacked.
This is what I wonder.
You're a single man with no kids. You got a decent paying job. Here's chump change.
You said this,
so I got
also on the phone,
less of the chump change.
It's being like promoted, like the baby mother.
I didn't care compared to what I earned.
Single mother.
In 2 weeks, I earned that loss I took in my end of the year taxes. I earned that back in 2 weeks. 2 paychecks. I earned that money back, and then now add up all the other checks.
Forget is all the year,
so you did your numbers and you have made happening, more take-home pay.
And I think Max mentioned it.
Definitely. When I saw my check, I thought I got a raise. I didn't see
problem with education You know, we're not as you know, the woman is more educated than the man.
Oh yeah, black women are graduating at the highest rate of anybody in the country right now.
Yeah, they're going to college. They're getting their masters. They're going so. There's that part that also.
I think the media promotes black women being educated as well. Like
educated.
Oh yeah, you see if a strong black woman comes on TV right now on a TV show, right? Watch a TV. Oh, you go, girl. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you know, women not gonna be like you lame if you.
I see.
But if a dude comes out and he's all uptight and yes, I went to school, I got straight A's, and he speaks like me.
Oh, I'm so proud of him too.
Yeah, but no, I see people kind of like, oh man, he ain't even a brother, man. He ain't real, man. You know, it's the respect isn't there, man.
I do not think that's at all.
I look at trap rappers. These guys coming out, they've got the tats on their face and all looking crazy. I'm like, what the heck? But I see women like, oh, that's my dude. You know, I got respect for him. He's a real man. He's a real dude. I'm like, how's that a real man?
I mean, we have the term black excellence. There are people who are super excited and happy to see women and men black excelling.
I'm happy to see that. I got family members that are happy to see it. I know black people like that, but the majority of black people are in the ghetto. Let's keep it real here.
I think there's a huge...
And they're not so ecstatic to see that.
I minored in economics. So I'm going to always think that there's some kind of economic
disparity.
Factor. Yes, I think that you made a good point about welfare. We really need to look at this because it did incentivize single family homes and for the woman to not have, not be married. So there became this a lot of baby mama, baby daddy situation. There was a lot. I know I went through that, and I saw that there was an incentive to have that situation as well. But there's economics. Economics is an important thing. Who needs to go to work? Who's going to school now? Who's seeing different opportunities? Like,
you don't have to go to work sometimes and still be able to support a family, which is like...
You know, because I was reading, it said like...
I seen it. I date women. I'm like, how the heck you got 3 kids? You don't got a job. And you even living in the house. They would throw me out in the street so fast. Like, what the heck? You know,
I do want to say that there is this thing of like... I'm going to turn it around and say... I think... single moms and even single dads, like the empowerment of, like, it's not that they're calling themselves baby mom and proud of it and baby mothers. It's the fact that they had to empower themselves because they were left to handle the family.
And those are the ones.
Do you know what I mean?
That's why I don't like just.
So let's not like an umbrella paint the brush. Because we can make it seem like everybody is just, you know, glorifying. It's not that they're glorifying it. They have to empower themselves. Like, listen, I took care of a family and I have 4 kids and I was able to, you know, not take government assistance and do what I had to do and found a way to get my kids through college and now they're brilliant people. So it's not always about like they're you know, it's, you know, they're sitting at home and they're collecting welfare checks. Some people really want to get out of their family dynamic.
Definitely. I met quite a few black women who, like I said, that's why I like just using umbrella terms. So that's what I said. As soon as I said, look, I don't want to just throw that out there with everybody, because I met women who worked, didn't want to, they were proud that they didn't have to use government assistance and still take care of their child and do not only take care of them, but take very, very good care of them. Nice home, really nice life for their child. Yeah. And I've seen women that had boys, that'll get them in sports. Every season they're in a different sport. And that's, to me, how a single mom who has a boy, that's how you kind of get him into manhood in a good way. Since you're not a man, is you don't have a father figure, get him involved with coaches and different sports, and that'll be like an alpha figure he would have in his life growing up. So, you know, I've seen women do it the right way, in my opinion, do a great job. But that's why I hate the fact that our community uses the term baby mama, baby daddy so easily. Like, why? I don't even like that. Like, why we just say it? Like, we say it in rap songs, we say it, oh, my baby mom's trying to get on me, yo, I got a shorty on the left over here. And it's just like, what the heck? Where's your wife? What do you mean? Why don't you have a wife and be proud of that?
Yeah, but now they are saying wifey. Like, it's, again, a lot of this stuff is like, we were socialized, you know. So this is the thing. So now you kind of broke down how you see it. So I would say, like, so let's say if we're saying like 1930s to the 60s, there were black families that were strong, and, you know, and you had the dad in the house and he was working and the mom was working and they had their kids, and that was the structure, right? And then after the 60s and the 70s, they started to drop off, right? So then I guess you can talk about, I would say Vietnam War is a big factor. I think war is the problem for Africa, for the African Americans family structure. Number one, because it also got a lot of black males hooked on drugs, being out there and killing people.
Vietnam was a crazy war.
Right. It was
a long war too.
Right. Very, very long. So that really affected the black community. People don't really talk about the correlation with that as much as they should, because that's what happened. So now you've got the 70s and the 80s, and now you've got all these guys that are home, some of them that are on drugs, some of them that just basically are depressed, like mental illness at an all-time, it's just, think about what they've seen. They just can't, and they cannot.
PTSD.
PTSD. Thank you.
And then back then they didn't have PTSD. A term for PTSD.
It was just you're just
you gotta
get you got to get your life together, man. You're done with the war. Go get a job. And it's like, I can't. They could not.
You know how many homeless people I met who are Vietnam veterans, and they'll show me and I know certain questions to ask. Like, I see your dog tags, and they'll show me their dog tags, and and they're getting disrespected. I mean, there's a guy in front of my school in high school who had no legs, and people would disrespect him, cuss him out, spit on him, crazy stuff. And one day, I never did that, but I never approached him. And one day I said, I'm going to talk to this guy. Just talk to him and just kind of, how'd you get out here? And he just even answered me. So I talked to him and I said, why are you out here? And he showed me, he said, I was a Vietnam veteran. I was going to a college. I was doing good. I was a straight A student. I went to war. Grenade went off. Boom. Legs gone. Oh. And I got hooked on the drugs because they gave me drugs to numb the pain.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I think what we're trying to say is basically there's so many different factors. There's education, there's economics of it. There's war. There's drugs. Mm-hmm. But ultimately where we've ended up is where we are now. And I think that now it's almost like a social thing where the whole structure of family and relationships, I mean, we're not even taught anymore how to coexist with other people. Okay. We're not even taught anymore basic relationship skills.
Yeah.
We're just not.
Where's the daddy-daughter dates?
Where would you?
I don't even.
Where would you learn? What do you mean? We're not taught.
First of all, you don't see it. You don't see it. So most of us are growing up. Grew up in a single family home, so you didn't necessarily even see that.
That's important.
Dynamic. So if you don't have it in the first place, how do we then reinsert that back to people who, for the most part, didn't grow up seeing that? I know me. I got pregnant when I was 18. I was in a tough situation. My family did not agree with my decision to keep the baby. I did anyway, and I got married when I was 20. I wanted to do what most people didn't do, which was try this out. Let me get married. I was 20 years old. I shouldn't, I had no business getting married at that age. But I tried. I tried for a very long time too. But the problem to me is that it's for society, it's so much easier to quit. It's so much easier to not engage and try in the relationships. And so they end up, we don't really try very hard.
Yeah,
we quit early. We were not given the skills. We don't have communication skills. We're not taught. And you know what? I'm going to keep going back to education, but I really believe there's a lot of things that need to be taught in very early on when you're children, not only just mental health, but personal finance as well. But people don't enter relationships and know what things you need to talk about. If it's finance, if it's values, if it's childhood bearing, none of these things come up. Then all of a sudden you have this scenario and it's the bomb goes off and it's just chaos and drama and you guys break up. Because none of this is taught. We need to talk about this in the beginning.
Well, I think we're giving up, like you said, we're giving up a lot more. Divorce rate is super high, and that's just not.
Well, people aren't even getting married.
People getting married.
Okay.
We're at that point. We're past that now.
Oh, okay. We got to get married first. But what about the fact? I mean, it's not just black families, right? So there's a high divorce rate amongst Caucasians. I think anywhere where the culture, family structure isn't strong, you'll see that because Asian families.
I was gonna say Asian families, Jewish communities. They don't.
There's a lot. I don't want to break down. I don't know the numbers per se, but I can. From just being in.
I think it's harder for them now. I don't know.
Harder in what way?
If you're a child and you grew up in a household where your parents are together. And they're 30, been together 20, 30 years, and you're trying to date in 2019, and you're looking for that dynamic, and you're looking for those values. Hello. I feel like you have a very, very high standard that is just not out there. So I feel like, if anything, they're maybe having an even harder time in settling down because they've seen this thing that's so rare, and it's I want that because my parents have that, and that's what I grew up seeing, and I'm looking for it, and it's everyone is just out there sleeping around, and dating is insane, and it's where the hell am I going to have this connection that I'm looking for to even build with this person?
And you'll
have a
notice
family?
if you're in that male or female, the opposite sex, when you're trying to date, it's trying to find that person that understands that as well. Since it's a rarity now, like, good luck trying to find somebody who even understands when you start talking about, when they say marriage, you're like, I don't want to get married, but you don't see what comes with marriage, the teamwork aspect, the coming together as one.
And then the fact that it's so hard in 2019 economically. A lot of us are coming out of school and there's debt and there's all these other things.
Got to bring economics in there.
Right. You have to put the two. So it's almost like nobody wants to get married. It's just so much easier not to be. Well, or to have kids.
Well, how do you teach the next generation? Because now you're saying something that's kind of interesting. Because you're saying that we're not seeing it. We're not seeing it enough in our homes. Because unfortunately, if mothers now have to take care of the family and be single mothers, then where do their children see that family structure, and how do we change it or break it for the next generation?
That's a very good question. You're not
going to say teach this. You can't say the schools.
No, and I say you have like, and I say right now because I always say the family, but there's a generation right now that it's too late. They don't have. It's just they're there now. They're right there right now. What do we do for them? It's like I think we can maybe do programs for like something for something for young black boys, something for young black girls, and they can come and I'm not saying like with young black men it's like I'm trying to find the right word for it, like just kind of guide into manhood kind of thing, like show you how to tie a tie, how to do a job interview, how to carry yourself, how to talk to women properly, like straight, just don't hoot and holler, and just certain things that your dad teaches you, and he does it in a fatherly way, but you can teach a young man that and be like a adult yourself and teach another young man, hey, this is how you do, hey man, don't talk like that, man, talk a little more, say these kind of words when you're talking to a professional or dealing with business. Hey, there's those things that you got to teach a young person that your parents to me are supposed to teach you in some way,
like
just by
manners and stuff. Like we forget, like back in the day, there was like home economics, like, well, not home, I think it was like not home economics, I'm sorry, it's like what is that, there was a class that they used to teach in like the 50s for like women to
like proper etiquette.
Yeah, like the etiquette, all those things were, I think those things were in place to keep the family structure together, right?
Yes.
So those were the things of like, this is how you sit down. This is how you, learn how to cook. Like they had cooking classes.
Remember that book with the books on the heads?
Yeah, you had to stand your posture, which my posture is not good.
Yeah. So mine's not the best, but
is that not stuff that, do you think we have to go back to like those things? Like
I do, yes, and not necessarily like not so black and white, not so like 1943 black and white.
Can I say from my standpoint?
Please,
I mean, I am a single mother.
Okay.
So,
and this is not a knock to you at all.
No, of course.
God,
that's
you're
why
like you're an angel. You literally, you have to talk about you. We have to get into you at some point.
I was married. I've been divorced.
Yes.
And see, that's an example. I've met women who've been divorced who are now technically baby mamas. That's why I'm saying baby mama.
Never.
That's what another nurse.
When I hear that, I have whenever. First of all, my ex-husband does not try that term. But if he does,
I respect that. I totally respect that.
I think there was maybe 2 times in the last 5 years. We've been,
I bet you got checked both times quick fast.
Yeah, we've separated 6 years ago. We got divorced in 2015. Mm-hmm. I think twice he tried to use the BM term in text, and I went the F off.
Yeah.
Like, you ex-wife, you will never refer. And I don't know why. I just feel.
Is it such a bad word?
For me,
I think it is, because it's kind of cast off. It's a casting off word. It's like, oh, my baby mama. She over here. My side chick, though. My side chick.
The black people empower negative terms.
This is the thing. I want
to. Yeah, there you go.
That's one thing about our community.
I want to take it back. Being a baby mom or baby daddy is not a bad thing, and I think that I understand why people would not choose to be married today. Economically, it is just harder. So let's keep that in mind. What's more important to me is how are you managing the co-parenting or the relationship with the children? Because that's where I feel important. Even in a broken family, you can still instill these things in children. So I'm a single mother, and it has been my duty to raise children that have these kind of skills and things we're teaching. We want them to know. So how are you co-parenting? If things didn't work out, okay, but how are you co-parenting? One, you need to show the children healthy relationships. Like, my ex-husband was physically abusive to me. I could have brought that into our dynamic. I refuse to.
Right.
Yes.
All my children have ever seen in our interactions are positivity. That's it. And so for the last several years, every time we've been together, it has been positive. So that's one thing. The second thing is as a single mother, I have to think about how many people am I having around my kids. So you can't just keep having people in and out of your kids' lives. And then if you're not in a relationship that works, how can you bring positive male role models into your children's life? So I have those go-to men. I have those positive role models. When there's a daddy lunch day or whatever it is, father-daughter day, I have my godbrother. He's showing up in his suit and tie. And he's taking my daughter to her father-daughter dance.
There you go.
So it's a combination of the co-parenting. It doesn't have to be, a complete mess because you guys aren't together. You can still co-parent positively and show your children communication skills and all these other things. My son has spent his entire life without his father, and he is so nurturing and loving, and he is the most amazing little boy, and I know he's going to make an amazing husband. And he didn't have to have a dad in the household, and when he did, there was a period of time where I was in a serious relationship with somebody, and we lived together. I made sure this is a person that if we broke up, which we have, he is still in my kid's life.
Oh,
he's still, yeah, because I chose a person that I knew
a normal human being.
Yeah, right.
So I feel like it's a responsibility as a parent, whether you're married, whether you're a co-parent, you have a responsibility for these children and how you raise them and the skills that they have. And so I just want to put that out there. You don't have to.
But it's hard.
It's hard,
guys. We have to. Okay, so that's your story is very your perspective is very important. But you have a unique story. You had to leave a family structure that wasn't healthy, right? No. So you had to walk away. Oh. However, there are also people who kind of pick that life, right? I hate to say it. They choose the life of being with men that toxic, and I don't know if sometimes I feel bad because like you have the girlfriends that date guys and they tell you the guy and you hear all the warning signs and you're telling them like, girl, are you sure you want to date him? He seems like he's a little unstable. Did he? That could be
perpetual trauma that she hasn't healed from, and she's unconsciously doing things that she doesn't know.
But that's a real story. That's a real thing.
Yeah,
you're right. I mean, that's the breakdown. That's the breakdown.
Education, mindfulness is a lot.
Right, but then they choose to have a relationship with this man, and then things start going bad, and then now they're in this, and God forbid they have a child, and then they bring a
cycles of violence,
the new cycle, and then so do you know what I mean? Like, so it's like. You were 18. You didn't know you were going to go into this like this. You didn't know what was going to happen. You were 18 and you were young. So there's a lot of things that went a certain way for you that not for some people that's not their story. The story is, I'm, dating this guy. I thought he was a good guy. Unfortunately, I found out he has another family, or unfortunately, I found out he's, went to jail, or he's doing whatever the case is. It's just not healthy, and it's not a good way to start a family into it, right? Because when you start a family, I really believe that black and brown people, when you start families, you have to really look at the other person and say, is this person going to be there? Is he going to be there? And I don't mean just like, is he going to walk out on me? I mean, is he going to be there to wipe his nose? Is he going to be there to take him to Little League? Is he going to be there to go to the school and be at the PTA meetings? Is he going to be there, present, a real parent? Not just like, here's a couple $dollars for this month so you can take care of the. No, be there. Be an active participant in that family. If he's not, don't have a child with him. That's not the father.
Or vice versa.
Or the mother, yeah, or same thing, yeah, vice versa. It can't be, because what's happening is we have these children, and I feel so bad for these mothers on, you see them on the train. The mothers are so stressed out. They have they probably have really bad jobs.
See it all the time.
And they're yelling at their child who's like 6 years old.
Children.
Okay. Yeah, children. And then yelling and cursing at children. And it's like, it's the stress that they have to deal with because they don't have daddy taking him to school.
And then you meet a guy like me and they're like, whoa. Well, look at you. And it's like, now you see me when you had 3 kids. But when you had no kids, it was like, oh, man, nah. he can't even dance. Oh no, no shot. Stop. And it's like so.
Now they watch. I can.
Trust me. I see it too many times to count. I don't date when we were kids anymore. By the way, because
you realized you were the you were the whisperer. You were the black the
like I'm
DM whisperer.
Yeah, exactly. You know, and
they see you, man. They see you, Chris. Before
but you know what? That is so. It's. Oh God, I wish you didn't say that, but that's so relevant. Because like now,
I want to say it wasn't relevant.
This is so bad. But I just recently had this conversation at work because I was dating, a guy, and I told my friends, "Girl, this is it. You got to do the nerds. You got to do this nice guys." I'm like, where do they hate this?
The lames.
I've always been that.
No, but I didn't
always. Since I was young, I was like into
that's
nerds.
all I'm in.
I was always
that's all I'm into.
I'm a sapiosexual. If you look up what a sapiosexual means,
yes, so am I.
Yep.
It's someone that falls in love with intellectual people. I like to be intellectually challenged.
I like a woman who likes to be mentally stimulated.
Yes. I can't. Who can have I just can't sit at a dinner table and have a conversation with someone that all they're talking about is like cars and sneakers and stuff that are like not even meaningful. Like if you can't have a meaningful conversation, that's another thing. That's a red flag. Don't have a child with someone like that, because that is the father of your child. Vice versa, that is the mother of your child. If she's only talking about cosmetics and she's only talking about, superficial things, then that is the mother. That's the woman that's going to be raising your children or not paying attention to your children. And that's
what I look at with a woman. When I see these,
But how did the three of us get that? Because these people don't know that. They don't know to think that way. They're not conditioned that way. Like,
well, my parents used to always say that. My dad read newspapers, read 3 newspapers every morning. So my dad is super, super intelligent. My mom is super, super intelligent as well. And education was the number one thing. It doesn't matter I could do anything in that house. But if I wasn't in school, if I wasn't doing well in school, it was like the worst thing. Education was the number one. That's the most important thing in my family.
It was very important to me.
And that should be in every African American.
And you had your parents together, right? Both of you?
Yeah.
Both. My parents are still together.
My mom passed away when I was 24, and colon cancer.
But your parents were together at that point?
But yeah, they were together at that point. It wasn't pretty towards the end though. My parents argued a lot, but I did see a very healthy, loving relationship at one point as a child, probably from all the way to age 8 or 9. I saw so I knew what loving parents looked like, and I knew what arguing every day.
I mean, obviously, parents argue. That's just
and that's but they
you're
argue.
Going to be together for I think. Oh gosh, I think Michelle Obama said if you have a few. I think I mentioned this, but if you're married for 50 years and 10 years of it is really good, then that's a good marriage. Because it's work. It's work. It is. And I learned a lot. 40. You can have
nobody wants to put in
nobody.
The work
What you mean? I'm going to have to be 40 years of anger, but if you have those good golden 10 years, that's a good marriage.
And you know what? I think that I feel bad for relationships because of social media now. So because right now you have an argument with your boyfriend, you guys have a little falling out. You've got these subliminal memes all over. You delete all his pictures, and it's like you can't come back from these things.
You put single on your joint, and all the guys say, "Hey, what's up? Hey, what you been up to? I haven't talked to you in a few years."
You don't like work. I mean, granted, if he cheated on you, then girl, go ahead, do your thing. Like blast him. Yeah. But I'm just saying, we're so.
But even you said if he's cheating on you, because then that's another thing. It's like if he cheats on you, do you get rid of him right away? It's like, oh, he's gone. Oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, that's what I agree.
I think cheating could be something that's considered black and white.
Cheating and physical abuse are my.
Oh yeah, those are your deal breakers.
Yeah. Otherwise, I'm a ride or die.
No, that makes sense. No. All right. So black families, stick together, man. Let's even if you come from a broken home, change the dynamic. Change your partners. Look at the partners. And this also we didn't talk about the same sex marriages and same sex couples, but that's the same thing that goes for you as well. Because you guys are raising children now, and you're becoming, which we're very happy for. We're happy for the fact that you're able to do that.
I don't know, Chrissy. You
plead the fifth.
Well, he's not, but we are. The girls on the podcast are. But the important thing is to just plan it out. Like Max said, talk about talk about your finances, talk about, religion, talk about if you're not religious.
Yes.
The
Bible mentions equally yoked. That means if religion, if she's an atheist and you're going to church every other day,
it's going to be
a problem eventually, especially when the kids get involved and you're trying to teach your kids.
I have a friend that was dating, she's probably going to listen to this and be like, what girl you're talking, but she you don't know what she is. She's dating a guy who is Muslim and she's a Christian. Now she's not a practice, like she's not going to church all the time.
Okay.
But in order for her, like they've been together for like 3 years, but he won't marry her. And he told her plain and simple, before his mother died, that if he has to marry a Muslim woman.
Wow.
So they're basically just dating and like wasting each other's time, sort of. I mean, they love each other, obviously, but they're wasting each other's time in the sense that if you don't convert to to being Muslim, we're not going to be able to get married. Yeah. So she's like, you know what? I mean, I'm not even a practicing Christian. I don't want to have to practice being a Muslim, and I don't want to do that. You know what I mean?
Especially it's a whole lot of new rules.
Right. So, but that's the smart approach. Like, so she's not going to do it. She's not going to go just do it and then be in an unhappy marriage just because now you have to go and practice being a Muslim just to be with a man. Now some people do that. And it works, but for her, it's like, no, I'm not. No. So, they broke up. So anyway, all right. So let's get into some, I want to talk about who is going to beat the Teflon Don in 2020. Because we've got so many candidates. And
there's a few more this week, right?
Oh my God.
Oh, there's more? Wait, there's more.
There was a couple more.
There's so many more. So we've got to break this down or at least talk about, because some of them I don't even pay attention to, but I can't wait until the debates. That's really what I'm waiting for.
Yeah.
But we need to talk about first of all, is this a good thing that we have this many? I shouldn't maybe looking at Chris. Is this a good thing that we have this many Democrats?
No.
No. You don't think we need a good pool of 35 people?
How can, first of all, most people don't even do research as it is. They just go off sound bites and who's popular and who do you see all the time on social media. So you're just making it even hard. I mean, we want to engage people. We don't want to disengage them. And now I've got to go research 15 people. Mm-hmm. That's not cool.
So how are we going to break it down for the listeners? Because we need to have.
This is what I was saying to you before. Yeah. I'm really, really conflicted personally with wanting representation versus having someone who's just going to get it done.
Well, okay, so I want to,
and that get it done might be a white man, and I can't believe I'm saying that.
No, but it's necessary to talk about. So the question is, do you guys, who can beat? Because the thing is, who can beat Donald?
Well, he doesn't think anybody.
I don't think I can beat nobody in that.
You don't think anybody?
No, I don't see anybody there's real competition. I think the Democrats.
And is Biden, and Biden hasn't said he's running. So would you put him in that category?
Oh yeah, definitely. But Joe Biden's included in that category. Okay. Then another chance. I think the 2024 is where the real fight's going to be. That's where I'm looking at. Because
so you think
when
we're going to have another 4 years of Trump?
Oh yeah. Trump has done too well, and you can hate it or love it. I mean, when you could look. When I was on the Democrats when he got elected, the world's supposed to end. It was supposed to be like nukes going off.
Yeah.
Supposed to,
and I think, it wasn't as detrimental as. It's only detrimental to your psyche for most Democrats. We're not us. Let me tell you, the Democrats, we don't like the fact when we go to overseas, people look at us like, that's your president? Are you guys serious? We don't like that part. And the fact that when we're watching our news that he's inundating us with, because especially as a New Yorker,
embarrassing.
It's embarrassing. It really is, because it's Donald Trump. Donald Trump can be a city councilman in New York. To be the president, he wouldn't be voted. What kills me, that's the funny thing. New York would never support him. So it's funny that America did.
Chris, you're telling me that when this man speaks, you don't cringe?
Now, I'll be honest with you. When I hear Don, he to me sounds like an old school raw New Yorker, man. If I talk to people from the people I was friends with before I started doing the videos, and now I got conservative friends I've met through my videos. Before that, I didn't really have much of a social life when it comes to guy friends. My guy friends were guys who were 55 and older, and they were born and raised in New York. and they had that New York attitude, like, hey man, I was in the Bronx when I was growing up, and it was a little rough, a little edgy. They weren't, the vocabulary wasn't this huge, vast vocabulary, but they gave it to you straight. And then I'm like, okay, these are alpha males. I like this. Not these little beta guys crossing their legs on a train. You know, I'm like,
oh my God. Can I just jump in really quick and say that I looked at the comments. This is super random, but I had to say this. Do you remember the Senator McCain's funeral, right? And all the past presidents had to sit in the same
Oh yeah.
No. I'm sorry. That was Bush. That was
Bush Senior.
Bush Senior's funeral. Excuse me. And all the past presidents had to sit in the same pew. And the funny thing is, I saw this one comment. Someone obviously had to be a Republican. They were because I guess Trump was sitting with his legs like spread open, and it was like just like sitting there like sloppy. And then you had President Obama sitting with his legs crossed, and people were saying like, oh, look how a real man sits, not like a little like. I'm like, really?
Yeah.
Like that is a big deal to me.
As a man to man, like, you know,
Really?
my dad taught me when I was a little boy.
I could not believe that was like, they were like really going back and forth talking about the fact that Obama's not a real man because he was sitting with his legs crossed.
Biden did it recently in that little apology thing. He had his legs crossed. I'm men were noticing that in the conversation as well too. We noticed that. It's like, because when I came to New York, you know, there was guys I saw who I just thought assumed they were homosexuals, and I had no problem with that. And I was like, okay. And then I saw him kissing the girl. I'm like, whoa, they're kissing the girl? Like, whoa, that's their girlfriend? I'm like, you're with that guy? He's like he's powder. Like, you punch him, he'll fall up, like, you just explode like sugar. Like, he's not, like, where's the alpha? Where's the manhood?
I mean, the spectrum of masculinity is changing.
Oh my gosh.
Gender itself is becoming
But the woman
more
thing with the
fluid.
alpha though, the woman seemed like.
I think Trump does insert this like alpha masculinity, and a lot of men like that. And the fact that he, you know, I mean, even the raw stuff that he says, the disrespectful thing, it gets people going because it makes them feel like, America, we can do that, we can say, but it's so embarrassing. If you actually listen to this man.
Now there's time I'm Trump's person. Actually, time to listen to Trump.
I think they need to retrospectively like look at like, you know, the whole college fund like schemes and frauds, because I don't know how he got into Penn. Penn is an Ivy League school. Oh my God,
his dad probably donated.
He's like, I'm smart. I can say smart words. It's so embarrassing.
He got kicked out of that school. They had to put his parents had to put him in the military school because he was so bad.
He definitely paid his way.
A horrible kid.
So he definitely. I mean, we can't argue with the fact that Trump does insert this kind of power structure. He's tall, he's big, he says whatever the hell he wants.
And I
he shoves his finger in your face to the reporters.
Get him out of here.
He's rude, he's vulgar, and a lot of people like he's getting all hype about that. Like,
that's my dude. That's my boy Trump.
They
do. I mean, I guess because
and that's why I feel like the president. It's not even about what you. That's why I was saying like on our last episode. It's not even about what you know anymore, and your credibility, what you can do. It's like you're the mascot, and people
remember
it's like a celebrity like persona now.
But this started from John F. Kennedy was the president that started that, right? Because John F. Kennedy was going against Nixon, and Nixon was like sweaty in the debates.
And black and white television just came out, so people got the first visual of a debate.
Right. Because was radio before? Or something?
Radio was that was the first televised debate. Television was around for a while longer.
I was like, what?
That wasn't like fresh TV.
Jeez. Okay. No. Yeah. So when that happened, that was like
people on the radio thought Nixon won the debate.
Right. But when they were watching it, they were like, whoa. Women were like, who is that? You know what I mean? And that's when it became the craze. And then obviously he had like Hollywood kind of like, he had like Marilyn Monroe, and he had a lot of different Yankee players like that he was cool, like that he would be around, and it became like that's when it started. I think the shift of the presidency, that's the beginning of it, right? And it hasn't been good since, right? So
I think he was the last great president we had was John F. Kennedy.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Oh wow.
I think
that's
he was
interesting you say that. Okay, I could see that.
But a lot of it had to do with the body language, the way he carried himself. I'm sure.
I would say outside of all the I guess the picadillos of Bill Clinton, I felt like Bill Clinton was the best president in our time. I really do. I feel like if you're gonna look economically, if you're gonna talk like foreign policies, like he was a really
reaching
good
across
president.
the aisle. He was good at that. Like when it came
That's
to
another
working
thing.
with
People loved him. Republicans
still do.
disliked him
But
because of his wife.
But they worked with him.
But they worked with him. You know what I mean? And he had a way of. He was also a man. He was kind of a manly man too, because he was like very like he was like Playboy guy.
Yeah,
so he was also
he is so charming.
He's so now so charming.
Interesting.
And
he's not an attractive guy, but he is charming. I agree.
He can work an audience.
And
Dude,
like I said, look at this. You guys are talking how you talk about Bill Clinton. He got a blowjob at the Oval Office.
I'm so
in the White House.
anti-Bill. I'm saying as an observer.
Yes.
I loathe Bill Clinton.
Oh,
by
really?
the way, it was hard to be around him. I've had pictures with him.
his wife, yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's right. You right.
I do not like this man because of all that stuff.
What did he put his wife to?
I was done.
Oh, yeah.
That was it. But I see how he would work the stage and the audience, and I'm like, wow, it's like magic. He's so
and you know
good
what I
at
tell
it.
people about Trump? I'm a sales guy. I've been doing sales most of my life. You know what I mean? I tell people, and this is especially sales guys I talk to, I'm like, who Trump is? It's like the owner of a business, and we're all sales guys. Every month we hit numbers. We're bragging like, I could run this place. I'm the best salesman. We do the bravado. Then once a year, the owner will come in, like a Christmas event or whatever. He'll come in with his wife, and she'd be like gorgeous. He'd be like, whoa. And he just worked the whole entire room. We're all standing there, and when he leaves, we all look at each other like, oh, that's why he's the boss. Like that was smooth. Like that guy is just alpha. And that's what Trump reminds me of. And he was a real estate guy in Manhattan, back when Manhattan was a grind. And it wasn't pretty, and people can say, well, he did this to certain ways, but I'm like, he was just getting money in Manhattan back in the 80s, 70s. Like, dude was hustling. And Trump is a hustler, and he gets things done. And that's what he's doing as president, in my opinion. You can hate him or love him, but
he had the House and the Senate. He came in like that.
Yeah, but he's still out of all the presidents I've seen in my lifetime. Bill did it, but to me, Trump does it more. He gets things done. Like what he said in his campaign, I'm going to do this. He's president. He's got about 80% of that done. And I've never seen a president get and it's not pretty. And it's like
all the stuff he's gotten done is like horrible. It's like so detrimental to and now he wants to take away health care. Like, come on. And he's like, the Republicans are going to.
How have you personally benefited from Trump?
I can tell you. I'm looking at the tax cut. I got about $85. I get paid every week. I got about $85 after taxes a week in my check. I thought I got a raise.
But did you get a higher or lower return or pay more taxes? If you don't mind me asking.
No, I have no problem. Because this is
most people are pissed.
Yeah, but I'm coming from a single male's perspective. I didn't get jack to begin with. You're a single male with no kids, and you got a decent paying job. Here's chump change. So I got $100 less of the chump change. So it's still nothing. I didn't care compared to what I earned. In 2 weeks I earned that loss I took in my end of the year taxes. I earned that back in 2 weeks of 2 paychecks. I earned that money back, and then now add up all the other checks and look how much money I made in a year because that tax cut.
So you did your numbers, and you have made more take home pay.
Definitely.
Because of Trump.
Definitely. When I saw my check, I thought I got a raise. I didn't say nothing to my boss. I was like, I thought they messed up. I'm like, okay, they messed up my payroll. Okay, I ain't gonna say nothing. And then it kept happening. I'm like, yo, where's this coming from? And then I was like, the tax cut. This is the tax cut. I'm like, I'm upper middle class, but there it is. My 401k looks amazing because of the stock market doing so well. And then I look at things that don't even touch me, like prison reform, what he's doing with the First Step Act he just got passed. He had the dude, I forgot the gentleman's name, but he did press pull him on stage, and he said, I was in the prison cell, now I'm in the White House. Let's continue to make America great again. And this dude was, got a bad deal, and that First Step Act helped him. So Trump is helping, I see blacks that aren't even dealing with the situations I'm dealing with. And so he's helping out. I see him helping other blacks in certain ways. He's helping me out in certain ways. And all I hear about is, we said grab him about
That's just for 2020.
And it's like, come on, that's.
Yeah, I think if we're gonna get back to the topic, the question, I think the Democrats have to do a better job at their policies, like the Green New Deal. We have to talk about what we're going to do for people, what we're going to do for people, because the Green New Deal is important, and I think that's something that we should talk about. But I also think that we need to break down policies and how they affect real people.
Like what the Democratic Party used to do that very well.
What you just said made me think. I said, "Wow, which Democrat is breaking it down to $85 a month, a week. That's how much you have to break it down. And you know who I think is the mayor, Pete Buttigieg. I think he is a rock star. I don't even know who that is.
Well,
oh my God.
He's getting a lot of. I know him because he's getting so much fanfare, and I'm like,
no, he's even on Fox. Here, this is Pete. Mayor Pete, and he's from South Bend.
I did see his name, but I didn't look him up. But see, that's the problem. He wasn't one of those top contenders.
Yeah, he's not. He's definitely not.
So you have to be. Do you want to know why? Really engaged.
Yeah, why is it? Why, I wonder why. Because when I heard about him recently, I'm like,
why
this guy's blown up. I'm like, why is he not being talked about?
He's a homosexual, and he has a.
But that's
the Democratic Party, though.
Democrats would want to put that out there.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is the problem now is. If he is the ticket, he's also really young. He's 37 or 38. He's going to be 38. But if he is the top contender, right, against, like, I don't know, wouldn't Donald just eat him alive?
I mean, because it's just...
Because
if you remember Donald Trump in the debates, I mean, even if you're not a fan of it, I mean, I saw him in the Republican debates.
No, but just think about this: he's gay, right? Mm-hmm. And he is proud of it, and you know he's a millennial, and he's brilliant. One thing I love about this man is that he's so smart, and he speaks real, and just he would literally. I really hope we can have him at the podcast here, because he can break it down to you with that like $85 a week type theory.
You got to.
You know what I mean? I think he's the one, and that's what we need. We need someone that's going to cut through. However, are you going to beat Donald Trump in a debate? Are you going to be? You might beat him in.
They're going for speaking in front of an audience.
Has all he done? I mean,
yeah, and then he's not.
I shouldn't even say that because Trump had zero political.
Right. He's not experienced. But as a mayor, if you think about it, as a mayor, you are governing a people. You're making decisions, like quick decisions, like if there's water shortage, if there's like
local
a snowstorm. It's pretty
going on. You know?
Yeah, that's what you do as a president. Okay, something happened. We've got to fix it. What's the next step? Okay, boom. How do we you're making big decisions. However, it is South Bend, right? It's not like New York City,
right?
So we really do need to think about how it how he can cut through. But look out for him. Listen to his I really want you to
look him up.
Please look him up.
I will look him up.
Look him up. Listen to his interviews. He's every time he speaks, he makes me more prouder.
And what you're telling me is like this is to me who the Democratic Party should be pushing right now.
Yeah, but they're not.
But this is what I was gonna say. I'm so frustrated because I feel like Trump is gonna sit there and watch us all fight. Mm-hmm. And then he's just gonna sit there with
that's the problem with so many candidates.
Why did we do this?
Yes.
Why didn't we come together? Whatever in the background, these 15 or so, work it out and say, look, we got to come down to like 2 or 3 of us, so we can be effective because we're gonna fight each other, and you're gonna have a lot of people pissed off. You're gonna have a lot of people like the Bernies that were attached and they were Bernie or bust.
Honestly, I'm over Bernie. I mean, I never was. I was never under Bernie, so I've never been a Bernie supporter. My thing with Bernie,
I think we should have come together and figured this out. And
back then or no, in 2015,
we've had the last 2 years to come together and figure this out. People are just popping up willy nilly. They're not even talking to each other in the party. It's just, and then we have to.
I'm anti-Trump. I'm anti-Trump. I'm anti-Orange man bad. Orange man bad.
Yeah. That's not gonna win. That's not gonna. Like you said, what you said today is very important for people to hear. One, you said it's gotta make sense to you. We're going to do the $85 a week theory. Mm-hmm. And then also just talking bad about Trump is not going to, because 6 weeks after he was president, like the country didn't like implode. So the scare tactics of saying that Trump is a bad man is not going to work anymore.
You're going to be thrown into jail and all that crazy stuff.
I mean, I don't think I heard that.
I heard, homosexuals or community, the LGBTQ community was going crazy with some of their theories.
It was just,
and I'm like, Trump didn't say anything about homosexuals.
He better not.
Trans folk.
He came out with the flag in one of his speeches, like before when he was campaigning. He came out with the LGBT flag.
Oh, I never seen that. I've never seen that.
It's pandering because your vice president believes in electrocuting gay people.
Okay.
But the reason why he got his vice president there because he's like, kill me if you wanna, do me like JFK if you wanna.
Maybe that's why they.
You want that guy taking my spot?
That was smart.
But it's just me. That Pence scares me more than anything.
He's worse than Trump
because mother has to be with him everywhere he goes. So his wife can't leave his side. So that scares me. How about Kamala? Do we not like Kamala? How are we feeling about Kamala?
Kamala is fake.
Oh, Max, what? You don't like her?
Say it. She's
What do you like about her? Just tell me what you like.
She's horrible
first.
in prison reform. I can tell you that. Horrible.
I have to be honest. I didn't give her.
Yeah, pretty much.
I didn't give her much of a chance.
Okay.
To really look into her, I don't. And I think this is what people were doing with Hillary, which is so unfair. They were just going off like the vibe that they gave you. I personally, I've read, and I believe she admitted certain things in her past about how she got where she got, and some infidelity and stuff. And I'm very
older man too.
Wait, what?
Much older man.
So apparently, the way she kind of came up the ranks politically is she was involved in an affair with was it the mayor?
It was the mayor of I forgot what state it was, but he was the mayor at the time.
And I think she admitted this,
they both came out.
And you know what? She was younger then and whatever, but and I think this goes back to personal choice. I mean, voters are gonna tie into their own thing, their own
Trump's
reasons, I'm gonna look at policy and all that and whatever, but I can't get past just morally, like me as a woman, like I can't get past that.
Well, how about
I respect
you know what
that.
People really are upset with her about is her truancy program, where she apparently was put. This is what they're saying. She was putting away parents, like black parents, in jail, and she never did. She never put one black person in jail, one black parent in jail.
False.
So it was fake news. But what it was is it was scare tactics. It was like, pay attention to your kid. If he doesn't come to school, we're taking the parents in. And I thought that was kind of like, whoa.
No,
I think people.
I think she's tough. She reminds me of Hillary in the sense that she gets the same kind of like scrutiny just for being like this tough woman and like, whatever.
She was a prosecutor.
And then when she gets on stage, it's like, oh, look at her face and her body language, and they start to do all that, which is not fair because they don't do it to the men. But for me, it goes back to there's some inaccuracies with her that we found out about. So I wrote her off a long time ago. Is that messed up? Because she's like the only black woman, right? I think running.
The only black woman, that's the only one that comes to mind.
I wrote her off a long time ago, so I didn't even look into her. And that's not right. But yeah.
Yeah, I think she's definitely. She was someone that I at first was rooting for, but I'm slowly seeing that people are going to attack her the same way that they attacked Hillary Clinton. And like Cory Booker, like is he's leaving a non-starter? Like because he's vegan, I'm like I feel like people are going to just like
Trump's going to hit day one. Trump's going to say that they get in the debate. Trump's going to say something about that in a slick way though.
Yeah. And then Andrew Yang wants to give he wants to start. He wants to start.
He seems nice. He seems like a nice guy.
He is. He's very intelligent.
Are you just totally Trump? Or are you looking at the Democrats?
No,
you don't consider
you
yourself a Republican, right?
No, I'm a conservative.
So you will still, if you need to.
If you found someone.
If somebody for the last name Bush runs, that's going to be a problem for me. Anything with the last name Bush.
Yeah. No, we're
and
not
so that's when that. So I'll be looking at the left at that point and seeing. But I'm so confident. I'm so proud of what Trump did so far. I know pretty much I'm going to vote for him again. So I'm not looking.
What about Julian? This is going to, unfortunately, because we kind of been talking so long today.
Oh wow.
We went. But Julian Castro, anybody care about him?
I hear his
twin brother. He was he handled HUD. He was HUD.
Okay. I gotta look a little more into him a little more. That's the one candidate over the left. Kerstyn
Gillibrand. Even though Kerstyn Gillibrand, we share the same name. We spell it different, but I'm not interested.
Why?
I just, you know what? I haven't. To be fair, I haven't really gotten into our politics, but I haven't.
This is my point.
That's the thing with the Democratic Party.
No,
you guys,
we are. No. We're gonna do the work.
No, you too. I'm not saying you two.
Maxine, you and I have to do the work. We're gonna do the work. We're gonna have to do a comprehensive. I almost feel bad that we're doing this because this is horrible.
No, but this is what everyday people are.
This is real though. We want you to hear.
Somebody needs to do it because I was telling Democrats all the time. I'm like, stop talking about Trump so much. What's your policy?
And it may not be next week, but let's plan a comprehensive. Maybe in a couple weeks that we can literally sit maybe after the debates or before the debates, we can break it down to policy and to who we feel comfortable with.
But this is an important conversation because it shows
new ones every 5 days.
This is the first thing people do before they start to go into the policy. They start to do this kind of like, do I like this person?
No, I think the only reason why I say Pete is great, it's not only about like him. I find him to be incredibly smart, and I also
the
like
everyday person's not gonna dig like you did. They're just gonna be like on the surface.
They're gonna look at the TV. They're gonna look at the TV screen.
In fact, most of America stays at the surface, and Trump. To me, Trump tapped into that, and that's why he dumbed it down for a lot of people, and he did the sound bites, and I'm sorry, but he did prey on ignorance, and he did use racism and other things to his benefit. He did, and I think he stayed on the surface because he realized most Americans are not going to go that deep. That's why they don't care that I have zero political background.
Yes,
they care about the sound bites, and
they also care about what is your policy. You say if your policy is to bring more jobs in, and you just say it like very brash without a big vocabulary, and just I'm gonna bring jobs back, and you're like, okay, and you bring jobs back, you're like, I don't care. You said it. You did it. So it's like that's what a lot of people care about as well. It's like actions speak louder than words. Yeah. If you got action, your words don't have to be pretty.
Yeah. What about Beto O'Rourke?
Oh gosh, fake Hispanic. Please.
I don't know. Beto, I was really excited for him for Texas as senator against Ted the Lurch, but that didn't happen, and they voted Ted back in, but. I don't know. I don't know. I'm a little worried about his control. I feel like he is a little bit. He gets a little too riled up.
Yeah, a little too. Like he cussed when he lost the election.
Trump is the same way.
No, I know, but we can't have another Trump. Like we really
needed Trump to beat a Trump. Maybe that's what you got to do.
Or you get someone that's very. Again, yes and no. You also can get someone that can just speak, that speaks to power.
Hillary did that.
I know she did, but she was a woman. You need a man to do that.
No, she.
You need a man that's or a woman that's likable.
So you don't think it's
like an Oprah? I hate to say it. So you just
think women can't?
No. You can. I just said Oprah. I said. I mean, like, again, you have to be likable.
But we don't have that. So of the women we have, you don't see it happening.
With the women here, no. Unfortunately, I haven't seen a woman that's gonna cut across and like what's the woman that he used to call he calls her Pocahontas,
Elizabeth Warren.
Yeah, like do you get what I'm saying? Oh, yeah. Like the stuff that we like. How can you beat that with people who don't do the you and I are on a political podcast, and we still are having trouble getting through all everybody's political platforms. So who's going to sit there and do that? All they're going to do is just judge by, I don't like her hair, I don't like her pants,
or
I don't
what
like
they see on the big soundbites. Social media
yeah, they're going to just what are people saying?
And Trump's good at this. And Trump's good at dropping those names. And
Trump's going to annihilate these people.
He's got good nicknames. He's got good nicknames for all of them already.
The top three are Bernie, Kamala, and Beto.
Yeah,
and I think it's also we can't just talk about
Biden. Well,
he hasn't run, but
Biden is beating all of them.
I know.
That's why it's so funny
we have to also think about who can raise money. Because the money's going to get you all over the country. It's going to get you to all the campaign events. It's going to pay for everything.
Well. It's so far. Bernie is the only one that can raise. Like he raised it's I think it was $11 million.
Kamala's raised more than him.
No, well, in that couple weeks. But he's it was instant when he's. But I think he's starting to kind of
die down.
Yeah, I do. Listen, guys, I'm not a Bernie supporter at all. I feel like Bernie is a really he has a lot of.
He's a fraud.
You know what?
First of all,
can you please expound, because this is the last topic. We're not going to get into the other things, but we really need to talk about this.
And this is Maxine speaking. First of all, he's not a Democrat.
Nope.
He's been an independent the entire time.
Socialist.
Right. Well, whatever. He's an independent from a political party standpoint. He's an independent. When he lost to Hillary Clinton and after Trump won, he went back to registering as an independent until he wanted to run again, and now you're doing so this is flip-flop. That's weird. You're clearly just using the party. And then this whole Bernie being this messiah for black people really pisses me off.
I don't get that.
Because Bernie was in the most diverse city in the world.
Speak it, sister.
Brooklyn. If you cared so much about black and brown people, why did you leave?
Where'd you go? Where'd you go?
State,
Lily White.
and be there for 40 years. And because of a picture from the 19 whatever, from, you know, I'm not saying, I think morally Bernie's a good guy.
Yeah.
And I think he loves people of all races.
But should we applaud him?
But to me, he's no different than the kids who walk out of their high school to protest gun violence, and you see the videos and they're all laughing and they're joking and they want to be anti, you know, because of the mass shootings. So they're going to do a walkout.
Right.
What is the difference between the kids who are doing the walkouts now and what Bernie did when he was fighting in the front lines? I'm not saying, I'm not disregarding it, because he looked like, you know, he looked like he cares a lot. But I'm just saying, I'm sure he cared more than maybe some of the kids now. But I'm just saying it was a trendy thing to do.
If you're a moral person, like, we can't applaud someone. And I'm so happy she's saying this, because I feel exactly the same way.
Because honestly, I would put myself on the front lines for so many marginalized groups today. I would do it because it's the right thing to do.
Right.
Okay.
Do we need to give you a medal? Should we give you a medal for that?
Yeah,
I've been marched. I've marched for many things, but to me, for him to be this messiah for Black people, it should have carried over, but it didn't. We can't see anything in the last 40 or 50 years that this man really truly did. And you left the most diverse city in the world to go to the whitest state.
Why didn't you fix your Brooklyn, New York? Why didn't you fix Brooklyn, Bernie? Why'd you leave?
When you ask a Black person, when you say, "Oh, Black people," I said, "But he was there fighting in civil rights." I said, "Well, what
50 years ago?"
I would say, "Tell me what else he's done." Nobody can do it. No. They can't do it.
But guess who can? Guess who could? Hillary Clinton, as much as she might have been a very polarizing person, Hillary has always supported Black people.
Yeah, I can go into that.
She has Black people have been a cornerstone of her policies. She's always, and this is someone that's coming from the Midwest. Like, she always.
That's my because we're gonna probably get people. Oh, you have the Bernie people who are gonna be pissed, right? Yeah. But my thing is, like, I don't care. I'm cool with Bernie, but don't fake and front like you're something else.
Yeah, just be who you are. I would rather him say that I left Brooklyn and I wanted a safer place to live, and
it doesn't even come from him. It doesn't come from Bernie. Somewhere it became that he's this messiah for Black people. I don't know who started that.
I don't know. I never understood it either. When people,
his supporters,
it was weird to me. Like, and then they showed me, like I said, a picture, and I'm like, okay, a picture from, like, I mean, Bobby Kennedy was out there, Judge F. Kennedy was. I could name a million white people that was marching. So I'm like, it just always confused me, and I'm like. And like you said, with Bernie, there's so much under the surface that nobody talks about. He went on his honeymoon to Russia, like during like the communist era, back in when he got married, back in the, like, that's where he took his honeymoon, but nobody talks about that. It's like he didn't even have his honeymoon like in a normal honeymoon, like
destination,
like nice weather,
destination.
You know. Like, he went
so we're gonna I don't know about that, but my whole take on Bernie is exactly what Maxine said, and I would also venture to say that Bernie's policies have not been favorable to African American. It's probably it's liberal. It's very liberal, but you know, like the crime bill, he was one of the supporters for it. You know, he wasn't for gay rights. Like, there's a lot of things about Bernie that I kind of go, well, you're liberal now, but what have you done in the last 45, 50
Actions
years?
speak louder than words.
He seems like, you know what someone said to me, and I'll always remember this. He said, Bernie's the type of guy that you want to sit and have a beer with and talk he's the guy the drunk guy that's complaining about America, and you're like, oh man, Bernie, you talk about this stuff every week, but you're a great guy. Yeah. And then you kind of put your jacket on, you're like, all right, I'll see you next week. All right, man. Same time next week. And that's it.
Yeah.
You don't know, like, that guy cannot run
a country. He's not alpha. That's what we talked about earlier with the whole Trump thing. He's not alpha.
I don't care about alpha. I don't care about that.
I do because I
do. Can I say one more thing about Bernie? Kind of like Trump, which bothers me. I think he preys on ignorance. So he would do the sound bites, and it worked. The reason why it worked on both ends is because they preyed on ignorance, right? He would do the sound bites like, we should have universal health care. They have it in Norway. And you know, that pissed me off, because most people are just going to go, yeah, Bernie. Well, Norway has 5 million people. You cannot compare 5 million people to 330, but most people are not going to know that or dig deep. He constantly brought up Scandinavia, which have countries that have populations that fit in New York City. And it's so frustrating for me because he would do these like free for everybody, free for all, and it's not economically feasible in the United States.
Or what about his college?
You would compare it to a country where it does work, because most people are not going to do the research or think deeper into it, they're just going to say, well, yeah, that's not fair. And he preyed on that ignorance. And that, to me, like, morally, I don't like that. I don't think that's cool. Yeah. So he's overall,
he wants to win.
Cool
at the
guy
end
or whatever,
wants to
but
win.
like, there were things that didn't sit well with me, and the one that's the most triggering is that he somehow is this messiah for black people, and I can't.
And I can't see him just being overseas, dealing with comes to a military and just like standing up to other countries' leaders. Like, he looks like he can't even dress himself. Like,
oh God,
come on, man.
No,
like,
okay.
I mean,
and on that note, we're gonna end this podcast here. We didn't get to all our topics. We, when we get together, we have so much to unpack, and hopefully we'll get to some more of the topics. But again, like, subscribe, leave us a comment. Let us know what you want us to talk about. Let us know what you think about, what you think of what we're saying.
But your opinions are very important to us. So you guys, we want to hear what you guys have to say, man. What do you want us to speak about?
Yeah. And hopefully we'll have a guest here that can challenge our challenge us. So thanks again. Have a great week, guys. Appreciate it.
Enjoy the rest of your week.
Bye.
Adios.